Do that. Boom. Hey, there we go.
Hey, good job.
Yes. So the thing that I'm really excited about is that we had such a great time last year with the Steve's Wine Bar team, the 36 people that went with us on the Rhine River cruise that we had a lot of people say, there really wasn't that much about wine. It was. There was a lot of wine. Don't get me wrong. We had two special events that we went to wineries and had really, really exclusive experiences on the ship. But yeah, I figured when we're in Bordeaux, and the thing I love about the Bordeaux cruise, based on what I'm seeing, is that the trips from point A to point B are a lot shorter, which hopefully will give us a lot more time in the cities experiencing the wineries and all that the city has to offer, each of the little towns. And if we can bring another, 32, 34, 40 people with us, that'll be amazing because it really was a lot of fun last year. And, you've heard some of my stories. You've seen my sex bomb shirt, Michelle. So,
Yes,
yeah,
I
you
have.
know the story behind that. So
Yeah, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
good. I'm hoping I can create another story, another fun story like that while we're on the ship. So
I
it
don't
would be
think you
good. Hey,
have to
Richard.
hope or wish. I think it'll just automatically happen with you, Steve.
Yeah, sometimes it automatically does, and I hate to say that, but it's always fun when it does.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce Catherine. We were just busy talking about the wonderful experience we had last year on our Rhine River cruise. Catherine and I were talking a little bit before the session, and she's found out something really fun and exciting. Ooh, I got some feedback. Uh-oh. All right.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully it's not me. But yeah, the it's really kind of cool when she shared this with me, and I'm going to let her talk about that when we get into the presentation. But for those people that are on here, you probably know Catherine. You've met Catherine. You've had wine with Catherine, and she's a great person. She will do a great job for us putting this cruise together. I think we've already sold 8 or 9 staterooms or whatever we call them on this boat. We'd
Sweet.
really like to get to 20 and get like 40 people going with us. So if you can, Catherine, I'm going to let you take the lead and have some fun with this.
Okay, great. Hi, Richard. Um,
Hey, Catherine, somehow I'm in there twice.
Richard is on there. Okay, Richard,
So
we're
is
getting
that what it
feedback
is?
from you. Yeah.
Tell you what,
Well,
I'm gonna mute you, Richard, and we'll see if that helps.
and we are going to have Q&A at the end of this, so Steve can unmute anybody that is muted and we can sort it out. Or I do believe there's a way that you can send type a message, a question. If you want to do that, you can, or like I said, just at the end, if you have a question, we can go through them then. That's not a problem. So hi everybody. I would normally ask everybody, have you been on a river cruise before? Um, I know that Richard has and Steve has. I
No,
don't
I
believe Kim or Michelle have.
no.
So that was kind of an
Well,
easy
I've been
question.
on the Amazon River, but no wine.
No wine. Okay, well, we can change that. No worries. So, we are going to be on Scenic River Cruises. Scenic is a company that originated out of Australia in 1986. And they started as escorted motor coach tours and evolved into adding on river cruises. The owner saw a need for river cruises in Europe. So there's Scenic and Emerald. Emerald is the baby sister of Scenic. And Scenic is also the one that Steve's Wine Bar took when they did the Rhine in September. So we're anybody that was on that cruise is now going to be a repeat passenger guest on this cruise. So this is the Bordeaux cruise from June 29th to July 6th. Obviously, 2027, we're way too close to June 29th this year. Can't believe that's happening already, but yes. So almost a year from now, we're looking to take this 8-day, 7-night cruise. Just some accolades, some awards that Scenic has won. I'm not going to go through all of them because, yep, they're really good. And everybody's enjoyed them. Here's a quick little map of France to show you where Paris is. And if you see southwest, you'll see Bordeaux. And it's about a 2.5 hour train from Paris to Bordeaux. They do have a flight. You can take a flight out of Paris to Bordeaux as well, not just the train. But Dallas Fort American out of DFW does have nonstop flights to Paris. So that would be an ideal flight to get on if that works in your schedule, depending on where you want to go, what you want to do before the cruise, after the cruise. And I'm going to show you this right here is the itinerary, a map of the itinerary. And you're going to start and stop and start and end in Bordeaux. And that's why the two little airplanes are there, because that's your beginning and your end. And then you're going to be actually on 3 different rivers. And just to make it easier, here's your day-to-day itinerary. If you've done ocean cruises before, typically they will tell you what time you're going to board, what time you'll be in port, what time you leave that port. On a river cruise, that doesn't happen like that. They will let you know, typically you're going to board around 2 o'clock, begin boarding at 2. You could get in onto the ship earlier. You may not get to your suite, but they're already serving you lunch on the 29th. And so then the ship leaves, and if you look down the itinerary, it kind of looks like we're doing back and forth Bordeaux, because you're going to see Bordeaux on the itinerary several times. And trust me, there's plenty to see and do and drink in Bordeaux, so you're not going to have to worry with repeating. And again, once you're on the ship, we'll know the actual timing for each of these ports. This right here is just a overview of Bordeaux, and then I'm going to show you each port. And understand that Steve and I have been working on this since January. Steve, is that about right? It's January,
Yep, I think so.
February of 26. So some of the information as far as the ports and excursions may end up being a little bit different since we were more than a year out. We're really just using what they were doing for 2026. So we'll see if they've changed anything for 2027. For every port that you go to, you're going to be given, well, in this case, when we leave Bordeaux, and you'll notice inclusion is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But for every port that we go to, you'll be given a choice of 3 free choice excursions. And when they say free choice, that's literally what it is, because every port you are given a choice of one of the 3 excursions, and it's included in your price. So you don't have to pay for any excursions. You can take one of their excursions, or if you just want to be on your own, you can do that once you get to these ports. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of skim through these because Steve is recording this for us, but also if you are interested in the day-to-day, I can email you over this information with all of the excursions listed. Again, understanding some of the excursions could change between now and June of 27. One thing that Scenic does include is, if you see at the bottom of this screen, it shows the Scenic Enrich. And what that is that Scenic includes one evening where the entire ship goes for a special night. Now, I was on Emerald, their baby sister, on the Danube, and we were in Venice, and we went to a castle for a classical concert one night. And I'm sure they planned it that night because it happened to be my birthday. So I know they just did it for me. So they provide the transportation. You go to the event, and then you come back to the ship and you have your dinner. Now I know when they all went in the Rhine, you also went to a castle. Is that correct, Steve?
It was a chateau, and
It was
they
a
had
chateau.
set up a wonderful experience with an opera singer and performer, and it was just beautiful. Yeah, it was really a gorgeous experience.
And it's only our ship that's there. There are no other passengers from other cruise lines, ship lines, or land tourists. It's just for our group alone. So in this case, they're going to be doing a chateau again, and they'll have an evening for us planned, which is really nice. It's very intimate because there's only 147 passengers on the ship. So when I say intimate, if you've ever done an ocean cruise, you know that 147 is probably not going to happen on your ship. So it's a very intimate evening, very nice evening. No, you don't have to get dressed up. There's no formal attire required for this. If you want, I dressed up for mine because, well, it was my birthday, so why not, right? But no, you don't have to dress up for it. Formal clothes are not required at all on these ships. So you'll see again that they're going to have all of these scenic free choices for you. And the night before you go into these ports, there will be a port talk. And you'll go to that, and that's in the panoramic lounge. And the cruise director will explain the port, let you know what time we're going to get there, what time we're going to leave, and about the free choice options. And that's when you sign up. And on this day, since we're going to be in 2 cities that day, you're going to have 2 excursions that day if you want. Again, it's completely up to you if you want to participate in any of them. And typically these excursions are easy, medium, and active. So they have 3 different levels. And also, you'll notice there's at least 1 winery to go to in each of these ports. So again, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner are included. I do not recommend that you book other excursions that are timed. For instance, there's that new company, and I've used them, they're called Get Your Guide. Them or Viator or any of those that might have an excursion that you're interested in, but if they give you a time for it, being that we don't know what time we're going to be in these ports, I don't suggest that you book any of those. I mean, I can book some of those for you, but I don't suggest that we do that. Again, because we don't know the exact timing of when the ship's going to arrive and when it's going to depart. And we would hate for you to miss the ship or miss your excursion, either one. So you do go back and forth to Bordeaux, but again, they're going to have different excursions for each time you arrive into Bordeaux. And our last day, so that would be July 6th, they do offer breakfast. And I did want to mention, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but whether you fly into Bordeaux or you take the train to Bordeaux, transfers from the airport or train station are included to get you to the ship. The same happens at the end of the cruise, whether you take a flight or you take the train, they will take you to either the airport or the train station. I do recommend, however, that you do get to Bordeaux the day before. If you can, if your schedule allows for that, I would recommend overnighting in Bordeaux, the actual city, the night before the cruise, just so you know that you're there to get on board on June 29th. And I, of course, can help you with booking that pre-hotel or any pre-hotels or post-hotels you're interested in. Speaking of, Steve dangled this little carrot, and I'll mention it now. We get off the ship July 6th, and I have found that July the 7th in Bordeaux starts the Bordeaux Wine Festival. and it goes from July 7th to July 11th. And somehow I think Steve's going to be staying in Bordeaux a few extra days after this cruise. And within that wine festival for those 4 days is also the tall ships race. It begins on the 7th as well. So it could possibly be that even if when we arrive on the 6th back to Bordeaux, you may see the tall ships. You may not see them racing, but you may see the tall ships. So that's something to consider if maybe, again, your schedule allows and you can stay in Bordeaux afterwards and go to the wine festival. If it's something you are interested in, I would recommend we look at hotels as soon as possible, because as that date gets closer, availability is going to be less and prices are going to be higher. So if you're interested in the wine festival, after I mentioned it to Steve earlier, apparently he looked it up and he said it looks like it's going to be an amazing event, but it's an annual event. So this is kind of cool that it just coincides with our cruise. And then here, as I mentioned, was, this can be amended at any time, and it talks about the rivers and the tidal river system and changing water levels in all the regions. I predict that we should not have any issues with water levels in June, but they just want me to include that disclaimer. So here's the side view of the ship. It has 3 passenger decks plus the sun decks. So your least expensive, lowest deck is that jewel deck. And if you look, and it's funny because I feel like I need to point to things, but you guys can't see what I'm pointing to. If you look at the water level, you see those little windows across the bottom. Those are some crew quarters, but there are some suites down there for passengers. Now, these suites have windows at the top of your wall. You obviously won't have a balcony because your water level. And then the next deck, the sapphire, and then the diamond deck. Now, those suites have balconies. So it's just that lowest deck, the jewel deck, that does not have, you cannot even open those windows. So if you're claustrophobic at all, I don't recommend those suites. And then the sun deck up on top is where you can go, obviously, to get sun, but also if you see, there's a little flag that says wheelhouse. So that's where the captain and the crew are to navigate the ship. And in the event that they need to go under a bridge and possibly they won't clear it because of the wheelhouse being up, literally that wheelhouse can be lowered down so that the ship can get under those bridges. It's pretty amazing what they can do. So they also have a pool, a wellness center, and then I mentioned the panorama lounge on the panorama deck as well. And then Portobello's and Crystal Dining are 2 of the restaurants. Scenic, as far as they refer to all of their rooms as suites. So everybody's room is referred to as a suite. Depending on what level suite you book, it depends on extra benefits that you have. Of course, all your alcohol is included. We'll go over that list. But everybody, you see that gentleman, everybody gets a butler. And again, depending on your level, how much that butler is going to do. If you're in that very top suite, he's going to do your packing and unpacking for you and even draw your bath. I don't know. I might draw a line on that. I think I can draw my own bath. Thank you very much. But they are there to make your life easy and comfortable. And again, it is all inclusive with the exception of the wellness center. If you want a massage, that's an extra charge. When you board the ship, they will not ask you for a credit card because everything's included. So they don't need to ask you for a credit card unless you do have spa treatments. So here's some pictures of the ship. Again, the Panorama Lounge and Bar is what they refer to as the heartbeat of the ship. This is where you're going to go to meet up for the tours, to go for cocktail hour before dinner, to go to the ship talks, where when the cruise director talks about the port for the next day. And if you look at the way back of this picture, you can actually see a couple of taps, but you see bottles up there. That's the actual bar. And the bartenders do not close that bar until the last passenger goes to bed. Now, isn't that correct, Steve? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Voice of experience there. But yes, that's the bar. And again, their whole purpose is to take care of you and make sure you're having a great time. Crystal dining room, where you'll have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which breakfast and lunch, they do serve buffet. However, they do also have an a la carte menu that you can order from, but your dinner is a la carte always. It's never a buffet for dinner.
Hey, Catherine.
Yes, sir.
So we actually had a couple of customers, I'm sorry, a couple of people that joined us last year that actually didn't even do meals in the main room because they did room service virtually every meal. And that's all included. That was really cool for them. They just sat there and they had this beautiful view. They'd sit on the patio or on the deck and
Balcony, veranda,
yeah,
balcony.
watch the river go by and have dinner. So that's just really, really cool.
Again, it's not going to be like an ocean cruise where the water's going to be rough. It's smooth sailing. We'll use that expression because on this we can. They do have a little cafe that you could just pick up. This is more like the buffet area. And if anybody does have any food allergies, I know last year we did have a passenger that has celiac and required gluten-free. The staff did an amazing job taking care of her, and nobody has to worry about that at all. They do everything they can to make sure that they don't give you something that you're not supposed to have or can't have. We don't want any 911 calls on these ships.
Is there a doctor?
Okay. I'm sorry?
Is there a doctor on the ship?
There is a doctor. Well, no, I'm sorry. There's not a doctor, but you're close enough to shore they can get a doctor on board straight away. Now we're going to look at some of the rooms, or pretty much all the rooms, but this is the Royal Owner Suite. There's that butler again, and this is the Royal Owner Suite is the top level of suites that they offer. A junior balcony suite is a little bit larger than a balcony suite. And there's two of those Royal Owner Suites. There's four of these junior balcony suites. Now I want to point out the balconies. These are actually called infinity balconies because they actually are part of your room. If you can see that, I'm pointing again to the screen. You guys can't see me pointing. You look at the bottom, you can see that there's a tract. So you do have a door that slides all the way open, and your balcony becomes part of your room because the balcony glass above the railing, there's a solid piece of glass. However, you can see in this picture, just to the right of the balcony, you can see those switches. Those will lower that top half of the balcony window down to that railing. So then it becomes a true balcony. So in the event that there happens to be bad weather, or for instance, at night, you can close the top half of that balcony, but still have a view without having to look through just a single door. This takes the whole width of your balcony stateroom. So it's kind of neat that it becomes part of your room, but you can also close it off. The curtains are blackout curtains. So yeah, you can take those all important naps and stay in bed as late as you want in the morning and not realize how bright it is out. So that's always good. Now this I know is not a very clear picture, but it was the only picture I could find of these lower suites that are on the water level. It may look like you can open the windows, but you cannot. So this is the least expensive suite that they offer. There's a list of what the butler will do for you, what they can take care of for you. And then this is what's included on every scenic cruise. So your airport transfers, or in our case, train transfers, train station transfers as well. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner on board. Specialty dining, premium beverages all day, every day. So from time you wake up to the time you go to bed, all your beverages are included. Room service, 18 to 24 hours a day, and not just during mealtime. So if you do have that craving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can get something from the kitchen then through room service. Again, butler service for every suite. And because apparently you can't get enough beverages outside your suite, you've got a complimentary mini bar that's restocked daily. And Steve, do you want to make a mention on that?
I never used it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No need.
Because everybody's in the lounge. You're visiting with everybody in the lounge. You do have a first-class service from an English-speaking crew, knowledgeable local guides, the enriched experiences, that's your one excursion per port. Oh, I'm sorry, the enriched is the one per cruise. The free choice are the excursions, it's one per port. Complimentary Wi-Fi, complimentary e-bike. So you can check out an e-bike as long as they're not using them for an excursion. You can check out an e-bike and go off on your own. All port charges and taxes and fees are included, and all gratuities, both on board and on shore. So any of your tour guides while you're on shore, gratuities are already included. Of course, you're more than welcome. If you feel like you need to, you can always tip extra, but it's not required because it's already included. Now, this is what we put together for Steve's Wine Bar. There's going to be a wine pairing dinner exclusively for our group. If we do get 34 guests or more, they will put together a specific free choice excursion for us, which they did on the last cruise. And Steve, and I was unfortunately not able to go on that cruise, so that's why I keep referring to Steve. But Steve, can you talk about that excursion that you all did?
Yeah, so what was really cool is they set us up with a private wine tasting at a winery. And what was really fun is that the owner was there, the winemaker was there, the kids were there, and we had a really fun experience on the property. And Richard, I think the two of you went along as well. But what was also kind of cool, and it kind of makes me think about what Catherine was talking about with the Bordeaux wine experience that's going to be happening, is that we were at this winery and our guide said, "Hey, we're going to go to the next town, but it's Sunday. And you know what? There's nothing going on there on Sunday. Nothing. It's closed up." And it just so happened right across the street, the biggest wine festival in Germany was going on.
Thought it was
So
a sausage festival, Steve.
sausage, wine,
I
it
think
was all there.
it was the biggest sausage festival, I believe it was
They
actually.
had one.
Now they had a lot of wine and they had a lot of beer, but I
Right.
think it was actually called the sausage festival.
That
But it
could
was
very
pretty
well
neat.
be. I think we got a picture in front of the sign. But yes, we just told the guide. I said, "Hey, if we can just stay here, that would be amazing." So we stayed for the rest of the afternoon and just had a great experience right there. But again, it was only our group, and that was really fun.
That's what makes it nice, and they cater to you and make sure everybody's having a good time and you're doing what you want to do. Also, if you book within 7 days of this presentation, you'll receive a $50 Steve's Wine Bar gift certificate, compliments of Travel Creations. Just another little carrot dangle in front of you. Here is the deck plan laid out for you. So again, the sun deck, we talked about that, and you have access. By the way, before I go much farther, just to let you know, if you don't know, river ships are not conducive to people that are handicapped, for instance, in wheelchairs. The reason being, even though there's an elevator on this ship, number one, it does not go up to the sun deck. It only goes between the diamond, the sapphire, and the jewel deck, just those 3 decks. You can't get up on the sun deck. But when you're in port, let's just say that our ship may dock right next to another river cruise ship. And we have to walk from our ship through that other ship. So they're actually like parked side by side instead of along the river or along the port, the land. They could be like double parked, and they can't get people that have and I mean no disrespect. I guess I'm stumbling to find the proper, correct, polite words. I explained this to some clients, a 3-generation family that I had going, and the mother, the grandmother, was in a wheelchair, and I explained to them, they can't get you. The staff will not get you from ship to ship. And the 2 sons said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just carry Mom." So, I mean, that was fine. But just to let you know, it's just difficult for anybody that could be wheelchair bound to be able to do these cruises. So I just wanted to mention that really quick.
Yeah, Catherine, I would agree. I could not understand unless you had 2 guys that were going to pick up the wheelchair and carry it from there to there. I don't understand how they would get, because some of them do. They hook up next to each other, and we had to go through a couple ships to get off and get on one time, and it wasn't a big deal for people who can make the trek and go up and down the steps, but someone who can't, that would be very, very difficult.
Well, and also, weren't the ramps steep
Yes.
from the
Yeah,
ship to the
yeah,
to,
they were tough.
yeah,
I
because
think it would be very difficult for someone who could not make that move. Yes.
well, when I did my Emerald cruise, November of 24, I was in a fracture boot. And Kim, do not laugh. I know you're laughing, Kim, but I was in a fracture boot, and it was even difficult for me going up those steep ramps to get to the land, to the port, and getting back on the ship. So yeah, just a note on that. And again, I mean no disrespect, but I just have to make sure everybody's aware. So I'm looking at this deck plan. You'll see where the cabins, the suites are versus the public areas. And the jewel deck, there's those 6 suites down below that just have the window up above. And then all the different, and I know this is kind of hard to tell what suite is what suite, but this shows you a diagram. Again, I can email all of this information to you, or you can watch it since Steve recorded this. You can watch it to see the deck plans and the different room categories. This right here is a live availability from Scenic that I took about 2 hours ago. So any of the suites that have numbers on them, those are still available. So if you look at the very back end of the diamond deck, Those are the panorama suites. Both of those have already sold. And well, so happens that some of our group has done them, but not everybody on this ship is going to be in our group. And that's okay. We can make new friends. But any of the suites that still have numbers, those are still available. And so anybody that wants that Royal Owner Suite, there's two of them and they're both still available. I'm happy to help you book that. Not a problem there. So this is the pricing. Now, because I see our pictures to the right, can you see that entire screen or is it cut off with our pictures? You can see the whole screen? Okay. All right. So if you notice, and I'm going to skip the standard suite category E and jump down to the balcony suite. And mine actually are my screen's actually cut off. So you guys might have to help me with this, but let's go with category C, the balcony suite on the Sapphire deck. The cruise fare is $15,090 per person. Now that's the rack rate. That's the brochure rate. No, but they're never going to charge that. So we are getting a 2-for-1 fare of $75.45 per person. We get a group savings of $200 off. And then Travel Creations is a key account with Scenic. So we get an additional $125 off. So now we're down to $72.20 per person. But wait, there's more. If you pay in full by the 1st of August, if you book in June or July and pay in full by the beginning of August, you'll get an additional $1,000 off per person. So this is where my screen is cut off, but I think I can do math in my head. So that's $62.20 per person for that category C, B, A, and P as in Paul. So those 4 categories all come to the $62.20. And then you'll jump down to the junior balcony suite. There's 2 on the Sapphire deck and 2 on the Diamond deck. Those will be $68.20 after the discount. And then the Royal Panoramic Suite, the Royal Balcony Suite, and the Royal Owner Suite, you get $1,500 off, and that's per person. So you see the totals there. Again, my screen's cut off, so I can't, don't make me do math in my head for those. It was easy with the 1,000, not so much the 1,500. But also note that port charges of $524 per person are included in the above group fares. So that very last column is what you would be paying if you pay in full by the 1st of August. Now, if you are not sure and I can get to the screen. Here we go. Okay, payment details. Let's do it this way.
Could you go back to that other one just quickly? I want to snap a picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We actually have this in a handout that we can get you as well.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Michelle, if I see you Wednesday night, I can also bring.
Okay.
So, Scenic,
Can you email the handout to the people who attended the call?
absolutely, absolutely, I can send that. So Scenic requires a $500 per person non-refundable deposit within 48 hours of making your reservation. So in other words, tomorrow you reach out to me and say, okay, we're interested and we want this suite. I hold your reservation. You've got 48 hours. So tomorrow's Tuesday. You would have to pay the $500 per person deposit, non-refundable deposit by Thursday to keep that suite. You're fine. Now, I don't want to confuse. The final payment is due no later than Thursday, March the 25th of 2027. That's if you do not pay in full.
Right.
So if you make your reservation outside of 11 months, which if you do June or July, you're outside of 11 months and you pay in full, that's where the August 1st comes in. Your you want to pay in full 10 months prior to departure. So that takes that $1,000 off or $1,500 off per person. However, if you wait and book, let's say October, you decide, okay, yes, we're going to go. We're doing this. If it's made after August, you still have the $500 per person non-refundable deposit due within 48 hours. However, to get that pay in full discount, the $1,000 or $1,500 per person, you've got to pay in full within 30 days of making your deposit. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So if it's outside of 11 months, which currently it is, you've got to pay by August 1st. If it's after August, then you have to pay in full within 30 days of making your reservation to get that extra savings. Okay. And also note that Scenic only accepts MasterCard and Visa. Oh, and there we have it. There's me. Always in with the good stuff, the pricing, right?
Do they have any provisions for people who travel solo?
There is, you may see if you go on Scenic's website, you'll see that they have a single, here I can show it to you. There's a single cabin on Sapphire Deck. It's that tan one that has a little cutout of it.
Oh, yeah.
If you notice, the number is not eliminated on that because we've already sold that single cabin. However, if you want to go single, it is 200% minus the port charges and taxes. So you're paying almost as much as you would if there were two of you. But it's based on the room category also. So I can get you that pricing.
Okay.
So yeah.
Just curious about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are. And it's unfortunately they only have that one single and we've already sold.
Just means you got to drink twice as much and eat twice as much.
That's not good.
Neither one is a good option.
Yeah, you got to go home and take that off then.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could always walk the sun deck while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can get some steps in that way if you need to.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to put that back up for everything that's included. And then again, if you want additional information, like those handouts in Richard, I gather you do. I can email those to you, Richard. I've got your email address from previous cruise. And Kim, if you're interested, I can send that to you as well. Michelle, I don't have your information, but there is my email address and my phone number if you need that. So are there any other questions? Anybody? Comments, questions?
It looks delicious.
Yeah.
Well, how much fun? I mean, it's going to be with Steve and Karen being on board, right?
Well, I will say this, Michelle, and I think I've told you the story already about the sex bomb shirt and how we first arrived and we had a great crew of people that with us and a lot of people wearing the Steve's Wine Bar shirts. And, I was first known as Steve to a lot of people that didn't even know who I was on the boat. And then after that evening with the sex bomb shirt, yeah, it was either Steve or Hey Sex Bomb. So, that's the great thing about only having, 100-ish other guests on there in addition to who we've got. You get to know some really cool people, and we met some really fun people to hang out with in addition to the people we came with. So yeah, it's a fun experience.
Especially if they're English speaking.
Correct.
And if you're wanting to do pre or post trips, American flies into London nonstop, London, Madrid, Paris, Frankfurt, Zurich, Amsterdam. If you want to do anything pre or post, I can help you with that. With the hotels, I know some people are talking about pre-nights in Paris and then taking the train down to Bordeaux. Some may now decide to stay longer. Airfare is not going to be available until July, let's see, July 6th, August the 6th. So about August 15th of this year before you'll be able to see airfare.
Well, hopefully it'll get lower.
Oh, I hope so too, because it's ridiculous right now.
It's cheaper to go, well, I don't know, it's cheaper to go overseas than it is to go to Mexico.
Yeah. However, I've been looking at going back to Australia and literally the price is 3 times what it was last
Ouch.
November.
Wow.
3 times. I know. And I really want to go back and visit my friends, but they have to lower the airfare before I'm going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you have any
So-
questions, you can
So,
call me.
Catherine, I've
Yeah.
I've got a question. I didn't want to interrupt the
Yeah,
different
no
questions
worries.
that Michelle was asking there. So this wine festival that's happening after it starts the day we get back from the cruise, is that
It
correct?
starts July 7th. So our cruise ends July 6th. And the wine festival begins July 7th. And you can just Google Bordeaux
And
Wine Festival.
is it in Bordeaux or
Yeah,
in
it
Bordeaux?
is in
Yeah.
Bordeaux. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And I guess I'm horrible with geography. How far is Bordeaux is a train ride from Paris, correct?
Right. Right. It's about 2.5 hours from
Yep.
Paris.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
you
And
take a flight.
are you aware of I mean what's available there from a lodging perspective in Bordeaux for these, for events like that? In other words, um
Yeah, I've got availability for hotels in Bordeaux right now for our time frame next year. I already know hotels that are available. Um, there may be some more availability that comes up in the next month or two, but there are several hotels that I've looked at myself just to see, and they have all levels. They have, from the 5 star down to the 1 star, which of course I'm not going to let any of my clients stay in a 1 star. But yeah, they have all levels of hotels to stay at.
but I would imagine they have some um VRBOs and stuff there too.
If they do, I wouldn't know.
Yep, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because they don't work with travel agents, so we don't work with them. Any of the Airbnbs, VRBOs, any of
Yep.
those. Yeah,
Okay.
you would have to do that yourself, unfortunately. I would be able to help you with that.
Okay.
But also too, when once you book and you decide if you're gonna, fly into Paris and either fly to Bordeaux or take the train, if you're arriving the same day as the cruise departs, you need to let me know. But if you're leaving Bordeaux the same day the cruise ends, I need to know whether you're doing it by train or flight so that I can let Scenic know, and they can organize your transfers either to the train station or the airport, whichever you need.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Richard. Anybody else? Any other questions? Kim, do you have any questions?
It takes me a while. I'm not a Zoomer. So you did great. You did a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. But yeah, so Steve?
I'm just excited about it, and I'm even more excited that there's going to be a wine festival at the end of that. Karen and I were talking about, and actually we've had a couple of people tell us that went with us 2 years ago to Burgundy and Beaujolais that I thought would really love this experience. And they've been saying, well, we've already been to France. I think I want to go to a different country. So my first response was, is like, so when you go to New York City as a foreigner, and you then say, the wife says, "Hey, I want to go to I want to go to Dallas," and the husband says, "Oh no, I've already been to the United States."
Yeah,
No, you have not. So I'm
right.
trying to explain to them, Bordeaux is going to be significantly different than Burgundy. But in addition, the fact that, you think about it, I think Karen and I, because we've flown into London, we've flown into Amsterdam, we've flown in and out of Paris, in a week, we're flying to Frankfurt, Germany. And I think what we might do is go into Lisbon, Portugal, or Madrid and spend some time in Spain before we actually get to Bordeaux. So there's some opportunities to think about that aspect and say, yeah, I can visit another area that I've not been to and have a great experience before I jump on a cruise with the crew and have a great party and then stay for a party afterwards. So
I
yeah,
know.
that's my
I
attitude.
know American does have nonstops to Madrid, and they're starting nonstops to Barcelona. Now,
They've had nonstops to Barcelona because we've taken it before.
on American,
Yep,
okay. It's
100%.
it could be seasonal, but they're going to have that. So, of course, nothing's guaranteed with the airlines right now because of the cost of fuel and all the changes that they're making. And also to realize every fall and every spring, all the airlines change their flight schedules. And that's why if you're familiar with traveling a lot, you'll see every spring and fall, your flight schedule is going to change. It may not be by much. It could only be by 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But typically you'll get an email saying, hey, your flight has changed. So you also want to be aware of that. So yeah,
Nope.
there's a lot of options like Steve was saying.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you,
Okay.
Catherine. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you,
I'm
Steve.
excited. I think this will be a great trip. And I think there's a few people out there that are just waiting to check with some other friends to see if they want to go. And yeah, I think we'll fill up the boat.
Yeah, let's do it.
How many do you have signed up already?
We have got 17, so we've got 9 suites booked, but one of those is the single. So that's why we have 17 in odd number. And I haven't booked yet, but I'm going. So yeah.
Okay.
God willing and the creek don't rise.
Mhm.
So
Okay, well,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you, Catherine. And
Thank you.
I appreciate everything. I appreciate you all jumping on with us tonight. And
Thanks for
we will
joining
see.
us.
I'll
This was
see everybody
fun.
Richard, I don't know if I remember if I'm seeing you this week, but Kim, we'll see you when you get to town in July.
Yes, absolutely. We'll come by.
All right. Thanks.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Hey, take
Thanks,
care.
guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Look forward to those emails. Thanks, Catherine.
You bet.